And Midday Magazine continues now with a live line here on WESB. Rusty Wallace, NASCAR Hall of Famer. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think you'd be put in a position like that?
Well, I tell you, it sounds good. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it just means I've done something right, doesn't it? I've been able to win a lot of races, and when they put me in the Hall of Fame, it was just one of the most highlights of my career. I'll never forget my whole family being there and everybody that night. I'm looking out in the audience, over 2,000 people there, and you see Robert Yates and Bud Moore and all the great engine builders and car owners there. It was a real big deal, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it all started back in 1984. You were named the Winston Cup Rookie of the Year. And what was your rookie season like? Maybe some memorable races from that year.
My rookie season was a real tough year when it comes to performance on the track. I wrecked a lot, but I had a lot of good runs too. And I learned. I was just a huge sponge back in '84 when I won the Rookie of the Year. I was making mistakes, and then next week I'd catch back up, and it was just like all year long you kept learning. And like I said, I was like a big sponge. I was going to all the car owners and all the drivers, asking questions like crazy, just trying to understand everything, because you got to understand, I came from short track racing, and I was like the dude there. I won basically all of them. But when I got into NASCAR in '84, man, they just blew my doors off. I mean, I got outrun every single week. But I was able to learn enough and gain enough respect out of my competitors and perform good enough that, when it was all said and done, I was able to win that baby, and it turned out good for me.
It's interesting you mentioned short tracks, because you hold the NASCAR record for the most short track wins at 34.
Well, it was a lot of wins. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I get thinking about Bristol and Richmond, Virginia, and Martinsville, and all those places. And people say, why'd you win so many short track races? And I said, well, I grew up in the Midwest on the short tracks, and so I kind of cut my teeth on them. I understood it. And naturally, to me, that's where I should have won my most, and I did.
Yeah, favorite short track of all time?
Well, it's got to be Bristol, because I've won there 9 times.
Yes.
I won 9 races there, and that's how I ended up starting my car business. So we've got 7 car dealerships in East Tennessee now, and it's all because of the wins I had at Bristol.
1989 Winston Cup champion, of course, one of your most special memories.
Yeah, it sure was. I mean, I tried hard to win it. In '87, when I basically got with the Raymond Beetle team in 1986 and won right off the bat. '87 was a great year. Then '88, I thought I had it won against Bill Elliott, and he barely got me at the very end. I lost by like 20 points to him. And I said, man, I'm not going to let that go. I got to buckle down to learn from that year. So in '89, I led the most laps that year, but Earnhardt was having the year of his life too. And when it was all said and done, I had 6 wins, and I only beat Dale by 12 points. He was on my tail the whole year. So, man, I drove my guts out, and I was able to win that thing. But '89 was a fantastic year, and the only thing bad about it was the very last race. I almost had an 80 or 90 point lead, and we screwed up in the pits. I left too early, and I left the lug nuts loose. And we lost a ton of points, and it was a nail-biter right to the end, and I only won it by 12 points. So, great year, exciting year, nervous year, but it was when at least I get to say I won the championship.
You had a heck of a rivalry with Dale Earnhardt.
I did, because he was the very best out there, and you always wanted to beat the best. And so I remember going to races and saying, man, I qualified like crap today. I qualified like 25th or something. Then I'd say, where's Earnhardt at? Where'd he end up? And they said, oh, he ended up 26. I said, man, as long as I beat him, I feel like I'm just fine, So, yeah, he's a great guy.
And 8th all-time on NASCAR's career wins list. That's special.
Well, yeah, to win, number 8, at least it's in the top 10 of all-time winners. That makes me feel good.
Yeah. Well, you know why you got into racing? Why did you love racing?
My dad did it as a hobby, and that's what my brothers and I always helped Dad with his cars. And my father taught me basically everything, about working on the car and understanding the car. And he got me going in it, and that's how it happened.
Yeah. Finally, got to ask you, a lot of people, when they talk about, the sponsorships and how much they mean to you, one lady told me the other day, oh, you're going to meet Rusty? I said, yeah, I hope to meet Rusty Wallace. And she says, I'll never forget him, the Miller Lite boy.
Yeah, well, I tell you, the Miller guys supported me my whole professional career. I mean, I started with the team, Raymond Beetle's team. That's the team I won the championship with. And we had great sponsors with Raymond. Kodiak, Smokeless Tobacco, was my sponsor when I won the championship. But then, we started with Penske, And our very first sponsorship was Miller Brewing Company under Miller Genuine Draft. Then we built that famous car called Midnight that I won on my races with, reminiscent of the hat I got on today, black and yellow car. But yeah, I raced with those guys right to the day I hung it up in 2005. So they were fantastic sponsors, still great friends of mine.
Yeah, now Zippo manufacturing from Bradford and Watkins Glen.
Oh man, it means a lot to me. It's just great to be here. Mike Printup, a great buddy of mine who's the president of the Speedway of Watkins Glen. So we got an opportunity to come over and see the guys from Zippo, and they've been supporting that track forever. And we wanted to come by and say hello, and be able to see the fans in this area and sign some autographs and just basically tell them thank you. We're here to tell Zippo thank you for what they've done for the sport. That's the reason we're here today.
All right, Rusty, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Rusty Wallace, 1989 Winston Cup champion and NASCAR Hall of Famer. Frank Williams, 1490 WBSB. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
Great
Appreciate it.
job.